TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
Thank you for joining us in Housing TV News this hour. I am Flora Ani. Our top stories this hour. Federal Executive Council approves Citizens Value Brigade for primary and secondary schools. Kano State Government inspects Tiga Dam and flood care. Cholera hits Borno. Our state records 40 suspected cases. United Nations Habitat partners Ekiti State Government to boost housing and urban development. On the foreign scene, China rate cuts to address property market decline and economic slump announced. In sports, Man United Stadium regeneration could add £7.3 billion to British economy. Now the news info. And a move designed to strengthen the country's national value system following the declining of values. The Federal Executive Council on Monday approved the establishment of a Citizens Value Brigade for primary, secondary schools across the country. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris stated this while addressing correspondents after Monday's meeting of the council chaired by President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa Abuja. He said the government is worried about the observed decline in value system, hoping that it could be halted for the sake of sustainable development.
This will raise model citizens among Nigerians. We have noted, Council has noted the gradual erosion of our values, especially among the younger ones, and this is giving rise to the kind of misbehavior and attitude that we see that is out of tune with our tradition and our norms and our upbringing. So, Council has noted that there is the need for strengthening and going back to these core values that Nigeria is known for over time, for which we know that there has been some kind of decline. So today, Council said, first, the National Citizens Values Brigade will be established, not just in primary schools, in secondary schools, across this country. Now, this will also help to create the ambassadors of Nigerian values that this country seeks to have. Again, there was an approval of the inclusion of the National Values Charter and the national symbols to be made mandatory, not just in our curriculum, in the teaching of civic education, but also among appointees of government. For example, at every retreat, at the inception of every administration, members, for example, of the Federal Executive Council will have some form of workshop or training on what our national values are, so that this can be further be inculcated. And not only that, also the standardization of our national symbols.
He also said there was the approval of inclusion of National Value Charter and national symbols to be made mandatory, not just in our curriculum but in the teaching of civic education. FEC also approved the construction of 40 houses for judges and justices in the Federal Capital Territory. Minister of the FCT Nyesom Wike announced this during the post-FEC media briefing, saying that the 40 residencies will be constructed in the Katampe district with 20 allocated to the FCT High Court, 10 to the Federal High Court and 10 to the Court of Appeal, adding that the project is slated for completion within 15 months.
The importance, Mr. President, attaches to the judiciary. Mr. Frame finds it very difficult how judges and justices will be living in rented houses and hotel apartments. That is not safe for judiciary. that is not convenient for them to do their work. And so Mr. President directed that the FCT, through the FCDA, should immediately construct 40 number judges and justices quarters at Katakbe district. Now what it means is that out of these 40, FCT High Court, which is like the FCT Court, will have 20. The Federal High Court will have 10, and the Court of Appeal will have 10. And this will be completed in 15 months' time. Of course, we believe that there's no need to give a long contract that will give you from time to time variation upon variation. There's no variation, and Council has said that clearly.
The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, announced that the Abuja-Kanu Road project, handled by Julius Berger, received approval for 740 billion naira. The project, initially valued at 155 billion naira, was reversed to 797 billion naira by the previous administration and further increased to 1.5 trillion naira. The Federal Executive Council approved the establishment of a disaster management fund. This was disclosed to journalists on Monday by Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Odun, at the State House, Abuja, after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided by President Bola Tinubu. According to the minister, in the era of climate change, no matter the prevention measures in place, disasters will still occur. He emphasized the importance of pulling funds from various sectors and being prepared when disasters strike.
Is that we need, in this era of climate change, of climate events, as well as the fact that from time to time there will be, no matter the prevention measures, there will be disasters that will occur, that we need to build greater resilience in the form of a substantial disaster relief fund, separate from the agencies that actually intervene physically. This will focus on the financing and bringing together the funding from across the spectrum, the federal, the subnational levels, even the local levels, and clearly the private sector, and even international philanthropic organizations, a best-in-class fund that would be led by top corporate governance, including leadership by the private sector at an appropriate level, probably heading it, in order to build for Nigeria a resilient response that is of adequate size, scale, and quality, and able to respond in such occurrences.
Edu also revealed that the Council passed the Economic Stabilization Bill, which is largely based on the recommendation of the Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee. He explained that this bill is aimed at implementing the committee's recommendations, including proposed amendment to the company's income tax.
The Companies Income Tax Act, there's also a proposal to amend that, basically to allow Nigerians with the skills, the expertise, and the relevant relationships to be able to stay in Nigeria and provide services to foreign companies abroad without those companies having to come and register in Nigeria, thereby opening up a whole vista of employment opportunities, income opportunities, and entrepreneurship opportunities. So those are the types of measures that are contained in what is an omnibus bill. There are changes to the Fiscal Responsibility Act as well that affect, in particular, the government-owned enterprises and how they are to share their surpluses and how they are to put in place reserve funds for building surpluses from their revenues. As I say, it's very detailed, and of course, it will be available to the public.
The Democracy and Development Election Analysis Center has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission to build upon positive aspects it observed during the subsequent elections at the just concluded 21st September Edo governorship election. The CDDEAC gave the advice at a post-election briefing in Abuja Monday on its findings as an independent observer group with 70 trained and accredited observers who cover the length and breadth of Edo State, including countering disinformation monitors. The report also commended INEC for the conduct of elections, especially as it concerns the performance of the BVAS and the IRF. It also commended the Edo State electorate who came out enthusiastically to vote for their preferred candidates despite minimal violence it observed in some local government areas and wards across the state. The report also recorded cases of overvoting in some major polling stations, majorly in Edo North and a few in some parts of Edo Central and South, among others. It also made some recommendations that will help assist INEC in the coming 16th November Ondo State governorship elections.
Despite the late start in several polling units, the voting process went on smoothly. Furthermore, notwithstanding the political tension due mainly to the identity-driven rhetoric and disinformation that characterized the electioneering campaign, the voting process on election day was largely peaceful. Despite 87% of PVCs having been collected, turnout was a paltry 25%. INEC should carefully review uploads on IREV against the announced results, and where there are discrepancies, INEC should take necessary remedial action.
The chairman, CDDEAC, Professor Adele Jinadu, blamed the desperation to win by all costs by Nigerian politicians as a big challenge to the nation's electoral process.
I think there are questions, definitely questions, about the discrepancy between what was uploaded and what was finally recorded. Technology can be manipulated, and we need to be very, very alert that it is not the answer. People find ways of going around it. At the root of all of this is the attitude of our political leaders, the political class, in terms of going out to undermine the process. And I think we need to shift our focus towards that and seeing how we should be able to make also the political leaders accountable to us in terms of how they view elections. We cannot keep on going on like this.
CDD calls for the continuous effort in voter education and media literacy campaigns to equip citizens about their rights in future elections. The Kano State government on Monday carried out an inspection of the Tiga Dam to ensure its safety following the recent flood disaster in Borno State, which raised concerns about dam safety nationwide. The inspection team led by the Commissioner for Water Resources, Ali Makoda, visited the dam alongside experts from their respective ministries. Briefing newsmen during the event, Makoda stated that the inspection was carried out with experts from the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing to assess the situation. Makoda referenced the recent situation at the Alo Dam, which has prompted widespread concern. The Borno State government has said that the northeastern state has recorded 40 suspected cases of cholera, just as it confirms a full-blown cholera infection of 2 persons. Baba Malam Ghana, a professor and commissioner for health, stated this on Monday in Maiduguri while flagging off integrated oral cholera and measles vaccination as well as vitamin A supplementation. According to him, the 2 confirmed cases were declared in the recent floods that devastated 70% of Maiduguri metropolis. He said that there were also 200 cases of cholera between January and August 2024 in Adamawa, Bauchi, and Yobe State. Reiterating the immunization of children, the commissioner noted that their vaccination against cholera and measles was critical in saving their lives to secure their future. According to him, the immunization exercises are also to be replicated in the 31 internally displaced persons camps. The United Nations Habitat has partnered with the Ekiti State government to enhance urban development and housing, with a strategic focus on integrating tourism with housing initiatives in the state. This collaboration was announced by Akintobi Olusomi, UN Habitat's technical support to Ekiti State and special advisor to the governor on land matters, during the institutional capacity support workshop on public-private partnership in urban development held in Ado-Ekiti on Monday. Olusome outlined the key components of the partnership, which include the establishment of a state-of-the-art urban observatory to monitor development progress, a landmass development project to address housing shortages, and the introduction of a waste management system to minimize environmental impact. Additionally, the partnership aims to foster public-private collaborations to improve infrastructure across the states. He emphasized the importance of private sector involvement in Ekiti's urbanization drive, noting that the state has launched a public-private partnership initiative to leverage private expertise and resources for urban development, housing projects, and tourism integration. Olusomi also reaffirmed the commitment of Governor Biodun Oyebanji's administration to sustainable urban development, stressing that the government is working closely with private organizations to achieve these goals. Mrs. Rosemary Odumbaka, Human Settlement Officer at UN Habitat, commended the Ekiti State government for its proactive efforts in housing and urban development. She highlighted the urgency of addressing housing challenges, noting that the population of sub-Saharan Africa is expected to double by 2030. You're watching Housing TV News. More stories will come your way after this break.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts on Facebook, Housing TV Africa, on Twitter, Housing TV Africa, Instagram, Housing TV Africa. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.
Welcome back. The Nigerian National Insurance Trust Fund has called for a joint task force with the Federation of Construction Industry, FOSI, to have insurance cover for casual workers in the sector through the employees' compensation schemes. The firm's managing director, Oluwaseun Faleye, said that at FOSI's 68th annual general meeting recently in Abuja, Faleye said it was improper for thousands of casual workers in the construction industry to be left out of the coverage of the ECs. The NSITF board said this had resulted in the abandonment when workplace accidents or deaths occurred. A statement by its general manager for corporate affairs, Nwachukwu Godson, said the NSITF board describes such a situation as their anti-worker. The Taraba state government has issued a warning to residents of 6 local government areas of the state, Karim, Lamido, Lao, Adokola, Gaso, Wukari, and Ibi, about the risks of flooding due to the release of water into the Benue River by the Lagdom Dam authorities in Cameroon. This warning comes as Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency predicts severe flooding in several states, including Taraba, Adamawa, Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, Edo, Delta, Anambra, Bayelsa, Cross Rivers, and Rivers. Commissioner for Information and Reorientation, Zainab Jalingo, has urged communities along the Benue River Valley in the affected local government areas to relocate immediately. This precautionary measure is necessary due to the potentially devastating impact of flooding, which has been experienced in various years, particularly in 2012 and 2022. Flooding remains a significant concern in Nigeria, with millions displaced and thousands of homes destroyed in recent years. The country's food security is also at risk, as flooding affects major agricultural producing states, exacerbating the existing food crisis. The Chinese Central Bank reduced interest rates on commercial bank loans and reduced down payment for property purchases. China rolled out a raft of measures on Tuesday aimed at countering a prolonged downturn in its property market that is weighing on the world's second-largest economy. The chief of China's central bank said it will cut the amount of reserves banks are required to keep. It also slashed interest rates on its loans to commercial banks, reduced required down payment for some property purchases, and promised other moves to revive the slowing economy. A proposed regeneration of the area around Manchester United's Old Trafford Stadium could generate £7.3 billion annually for the British economy, according to an economic visibility study commissioned by the club. However, Mayor of Greater Manchester Andy Bohem said on Monday no public money will go towards the project. United are considering whether to pursue a £2 billion plan for a brand new 100,000-seater stadium or redevelop the existing 74-capacity Old Trafford. Bohem has backed the ambition to redevelop the stadium alongside a mixed-use neighborhood featuring apartment blocks, shopping centers, and new public transport stations. Global advisory firm Oxford Economics revealed the regeneration project could deliver 92,000 new jobs, more than 70,000 new homes, and extra 1.8 million visitors per year to the area. That is the much you can take on housing news at this hour. Once again, a recap of our top stories. Federal Executive Council approves Citizens Value Brigade for primary and secondary schools. Kano State Government inspects Tiga Dam amid flood scare. Cholera hits Borno as state records 40 suspected cases. United Nations Habitat Partners Ekiti State Government to boost housing and urban development. On the foreign scene, China rate cut to address property market decline amid economic slump announced. In sports, Man United Stadium regeneration could add £7.3 billion to British economy. For more news in the housing sector, subscribe to Housing TV Africa on YouTube. Follow Housing TV Africa on all social media platforms. Download the Housing TV mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. I am Flora Ani. Thanks for watching.